Our great people were deported, tortured, and again when they had their war, we supported them, but they paid us in monkey money. Others were killed when they tried to stake their claim. Several of them died in their village as a result of the war. Never recognized the work of the African. Our mission is first of all to awaken Africa and do better, so that you from the diaspora can make people understand what Africa is. When I see you, united in this association, I feel even more proud because that's all we are asking for today. Our fight is to be able to unite, because united we are strong, divide we are weak.
Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing fine. Now I'm sharing this video, one of the greatest speech from Ibrahim Traore, and he says that if we are not going to unite as black people in the Caribbean, in Jamaica and in Africa, nothing is going to work for us. That if we can't fight bad leadership in our countries, if we can't fight corruption and puppet leaders, nothing is going to work right for us. So let's have a look at this video, then have a quick discussion.
In their heads, as I said recently, Africa belongs to them. Our lands belong to them. The riches of Africa are for them. They cannot conceive that Africans can emancipate themselves, get their heads out of the water, and therefore want to keep their heads. And for that, they have put a cliché in their heads. The African is easy to manipulate. He is only emotion. They will always find an African to fight against his brother. And it has always been like that. Through communication, they have led you to hate your own skin color. In our cultures and in many cultures in Burkina Faso, mourning is symbolized by the color blue. When a woman loses her husband, she wears blue clothes to mourn for a while. It is they who came to tell you that black symbolizes mourning, the devil, mediocrity, all that is bad. And unfortunately, we have swallowed it so much that when we are in mourning, we also wear black. We have to wake up. We have to wake up because this is the cliché that they have in their heads. They are the empire of good. Others are the empire of evil. And we are the empire of slaves. This is how imperialists see the world. You have to understand that. And here I am going to make comrades, fighters for freedom, for sovereignty and real independence. Hello. Let us give thanks to God who allowed this day to take place, and that we can meet again in this pool of the Palace of Sports to talk about the future of our country. At the end of your decision on May 25th to entrust us with the destiny of our country for 5 more years, be happy. Thank you. We do not see this as a mandate, but we have understood it as a message that has been passed to us, and the message has been very well received, and we will do everything to always deserve your trust. Allow me also to pay a vibrant tribute to all these forces of defense, these forces of internal security, our voluntary guardians, for the defense of the country and all these populations who live in these areas at the risk of security and who stand up. We pay tribute to them and we say thank you for all the sacrifices made for our country. I ask you that we can observe a minute of silence to honor the memory of all those who lost their lives in this fight. May the souls of the dead rest in peace, and may the wounded find good healing.
Camarades, l'émotion est grande, certes.
Comrades, the emotion is great, certainly.
Que j'articule mes propos.
But allow me to articulate my words in 3 phases.
La première phase va concerner
The first phase will concern the stage from which I will
à partir de laquelle je vais vous expliquer
explain to you how we see this world.
nous voyons ce monde. La deuxième phase, nous allons nous consacrer à
The second phase will explain to you why we must continue to fight.
Et après, l'étape la plus importante, ça sera de vous décliner de façon
And the most important stage will be to give you a summary of our vision for the future,
si je peux m'exprimer.
if I may put it this way.
Durant ces 20 et quelques mois passés donc à la tête de l'État, nous avons eu
During these 20-some months, we have met several politicians from all over the world.
venus de toutes parts. Nous avons rencontré
We met hundreds of diplomats from all over the world.
Nous avons rencontré des hommes d'affaires venus
We
de
met
peu
businessmen from all over the
Nous avons
world.
été ouverts à tous ces échanges
We have been open to all these exchanges, to all these discussions,
du monde pour
to be
pouvoir
able to learn from the world, to be able to understand the world.
très belle pour que je puisse vous expliquer
And today I think this is a great opportunity for me to explain to you the conclusion we have drawn
avec des hommes politiques
from all these meetings we have had with politicians from all over the world, diplomats from all over the
très
world.
important. La conclusion
It is
que nous
very
avons
important, the
tirée,
conclusion we have
ça doit
drawn,
nous permettre de comprendre le monde.
and it must allow you to understand the world.
Dans nos contrées, nous n'avons pas cette
Because often in our countries, we do not have this perspective of being able to have access to certain people who will teach you many things through their behavior, through their words, and also by telling you how they see us.
Camarades, Dieu a créé le monde avec
Comrades,
tout ce qu'il y a,
God created the world with all that there is, like happiness,
bien,
like misfortune, like good, like evil, humans, geniuses, animals, and everything that goes with it.
mais nous humains avons décidé
But we humans have decided to make the world something else.
chez les impérialistes, ils ont une
The
vision.
imperialists have a vision of the world that I am going to explain to you.
Le monde se résume en un triangle pour eux.
The world is summed up in a triangle for them. You will see the triangle in most of their signs. Maybe you don't understand, but the world is summed up in a triangle.
Se trouve l'empire du bien.
For them, at the top of the triangle is the empire of good,
C'est la prospérité.
and the empire of good is them.
Tout ce qui est positif.
It is prosperity. It is all that is positive.
C'est eux qui ont droit à toutes les richesses.
It is them who have the right to all that is happiness in this world.
D'imposer leur vision, leur mode de vie.
It is them who have the right to all the riches.
Ou leur conquête, je dirais.
It is up to them to impose their way of seeing the world.
Parce que pour eux, nous sommes des sauvages.
It is up to them to impose their vision, their way of life.
Donc,
This is why during the colonization, or their conquest, I would say, they came to our lands and said that they had discovered our
s'arrogent
lands.
tous les droits. Et pour eux,
Because for them, we are savages. We have nothing like them, in fact. So they called us indigenous people. And it is them, the people. They have all the rights. And for them, the world must work as they wish. It is simple.
les faire comprendre qu'ils sont les meilleurs.
I will take a few examples. Look through their films. They have prepared the spirit of their people to make them understand that they are the best. It is them who must possess everything. You will not say the opposite. In all their films that they propagate, you will always find the bad guys. It is either the Russians or the South Americans or the blacks who play the bad role of drug traffickers, of proxies, of human traffickers. Until a recent past, of course, you will find the Arabs who play the role of terrorists. This is how they perceive the world.
Quand je prends sur le volet économique,
When I look at the economic aspect,
parmi nous, n'a pas traité
who among us did not treat the Chinese products as bad products?
comme on aimait l'appeler, de mauvais produits.
But today I can tell you that we are wrong,
Qu'on a tout tort.
because China has a fairly advanced level of technology.
Technologie assez avancée. Et c'est en Chine que la
And it is in China that most of these countries come to supply, put their mark on it, and resell us as their property.
Regardez autour de vous. Nos
Look around you.
entrepreneurs qui sont dans le
Look at
BTP ne
us.
diront pas le contraire. Tous leurs
Our entrepreneurs who are in the BTP will not say the opposite.
ceux qui font le transport ne diront pas le contraire. Ils nous
All their machines today are Chinese. Those who do transport will not say the opposite.
pour chercher des entreprises, pour chercher des
They lied to us because we went around the world in these 20 months to look for companies, to look for factories, and we understood that everything came back there.
faire comprendre que ce qui est bon,
But through their communication, they led us to hate all Chinese products and to make us understand that what is good came from them, not necessarily from elsewhere.
pour mieux comprendre ce que je
It's
dirais,
simple. Let's go back in time. To better understand what I will say, we need to go back in time. And I hope that some will read who are the Tsars, the Mongol conquests, the Persian, Turkish, and Ottoman empires.
lisez leur histoire, vous comprendrez pourquoi
Read their history. You will understand why the world is like this. At the base of the triangle, there are two empires.
il y a deux empires.
On one side, the empire of evil, according to them,
Et l'empire des esclaves de l'autre côté.
and the empire of slaves on the other side. This is how they see the
Qu'est-ce
world.
qu'ils appellent l'empire du mal? Ceux dont je viens de citer
Who do they call the empire of evil?
l'origine, et je vous ai dit de remonter le temps.
Those whom I have just mentioned. I told you to go back in time. Go and read. You will understand why they are the empire of evil in their eyes. They fight the empire of evil.
Eux, l'empire du mal incarne le diable.
For them, the empire of evil must disappear.
Comprendre leur peuple ainsi. Voilà
For them, the empire of evil embodies the devil.
80. Je prendrai
They communicate and make their people understand this way. This is why after the Second World War, in the 1980s, I would take the case of Russia, where all the strategies were implemented to crush it with President Gorbachev.
États-Unis, c'est le président Ronald Reagan.
In the United States, it was President Ronald Reagan who was at the helm.
ont retenu notre attention.
Three main strategies have caught our
Au
attention.
niveau de l'Arabie Saoudite, les demander
They went to Saudi Arabia and asked them to lower the price of oil from $35 to $7 to make the Russian economy collapse.
parallèlement à cela. Le deuxième stratagème,
At the same time, the second strategy, AEEURs, don't forget something, AEEUR, is the same people who have just left Afghanistan claiming that they were fighting the Taliban.
les talibans. Les talibans ont été reçus
The Taliban were received by President Ronald Reagan at the White House.
armés par la CIA. Les fameux missiles Stinger sol-air ont été livrés aux talibans.
They were armed by the CIA. The famous Stinger missiles, the Solaire, were delivered to the Taliban to fight the Russians.
Le troisième stratagème, c'est
Later, they came to fight them. Try to understand. The third strategy was a bluff.
lisez.
The IDS project, Star Wars. Read it.
Ils ont amené le
You will understand why. They led President Gorbachev to create the Palace Project, which crushed Russia.
Une fois que la Russie s'est effondrée,
Once Russia
les
collapsed,
gens de l'empire du bien ont commencé à jubiler.
those who claimed to be from the empire of good began to juggle, until this team came along with Vladimir Putin to try to bring Russia back to the surface.
L'empire du mal. L'empire du mal, selon eux, a beaucoup souffert.
The empire of evil, according to them, suffered a lot.
Toutes les sanctions possibles.
Look at Iran today. Look at all the possible sanctions.
Par la communication,
Look at how they qualify certain peoples. Through communication, they can lead you to hate a people or to love a people.
dans la communication. Et ils passent par tous les canaux.
They are very strong in communication, and they go through all possible channels.
Ils ont
Look at the ongoing war. They invented everything for their own interest.
Et enfin,
And finally, the empire of slaves.
selon eux, c'est l'Afrique et certains
According to them, it is Africa and certain peoples of South America.
Comme je le disais dernièrement, l'Afrique les appartient, nos terres les appartiennent.
In their heads, as I said recently, Africa belongs to them. Our lands belong to them. The riches of Africa are for them. They cannot conceive that Africa.
Our great people were deported, tortured, and again when they had their war, we supported them, but they paid us in monkey money.
Ils nous ont payé en monnaie de singe. D'autres ont été tués lorsqu'ils ont essayé de revendiquer.
Others were killed when they tried to stake their claim. Several of them died in their village as a result of the war. Never recognized the work of the African.
Notre mission
Our mission is first of all to awaken Africa and do better, so that you from the diaspora can make people understand what Africa is.
pour faire comprendre ce que c'est que l'Afrique. Quand je vous vois unis dans
When I
cette
see you,
association,
united in this association, I feel even more proud because that's all we are asking for today. Our fight is to be able to unite, because united we are strong, divide we are
parce
weak.
que unis, nous sommes forts. Divisés, on est faible. Ils ont toujours travaillé à nous diviser.
They have always worked to divide us, so I urge you to spread the message so that Africa can unite it.
Nous avons la chance ou la malchance.
We have been lucky or unlucky enough to live through war for several years,
Et à un moment donné, il fallait dire
and at some point, we had to say enough is enough, that we are fed up. We have taken our responsibilities and we realize today more than ever that we were right to take our responsibilities. Because these are
Now, I've always talked about Ibrahim Traore, one of the best leaders so far we have in Africa and in the world. Now, Ibrahim Traore has always received criticism from the Western media and from the Western countries just because he has refused to dine with them. Now, we know our people are being oppressed, but who is there to talk for them? No one. Now, we know the leadership of our countries have always been controlled by the Western countries. Now, the US has always played a big role in the problems that we face today. Now, European Union has always played a big role in the problems we face today in our black countries. Now, talking of our countries that got independence days and years back, but we still languish in poverty. We still lack employment. We still have bad infrastructure. We are still fighting corruption. And those people who are fighting corruption are the most corrupt. Now, this is whatever is happening in most black countries. And the Western countries are very happy to see us suffer and maybe trying to fight our problems in and out each day. That's the work we only do. And for that case, we've always remained behind. Now, Ibrahim Traore has always spoken, and he has said that for black countries to fight corruption, we should first avoid with all that we can these European countries. And when he says that, some people get him wrong and say he's a dictator or something. Now, this is a man who is so visionary. He has seen whatever the white countries has done to black countries. Now, go to the Caribbean. The people in the Caribbean are crying day in, day out. Their beaches have been sold to white countries. Now, go to one of their most luxurious and the best beaches we have in Jamaica, in Haiti, in each and every country that is in the Caribbean. You are going to realize that these beaches do not belong to that country anymore. They are being controlled by either China, US, and other investors from other countries. And this is whatever gives that country their national heritage, their national this is whatever they can be proud of, their beaches. But see whatever is happening. Now, if you come to Africa, Africans are really fighting corruption day in, day out. But we can't manage to fight corruption because those who purport to be fighting the corruption are the most corrupt. Now, what am I really saying in this case? And what is my message today? Now, Ibrahim Traore has been talking, and he said he wants black Americans to go back to come back to Africa. And when he says that, he means that he has opened doors for all African Americans and for all African diasporans to come back. And this he means the Caribbeans, Jamaicans, and all those in Europe and in America. So, but why have we seen our black brothers not coming back? One, it's because of the bad state of our countries. Now, look at most of our countries dominated by corruption. Apart from corruption, see how high level of unemployment has played a big role in making sure that we still remain poor. Now, these are the things that scare our brothers and sisters from coming back. Now, the other day I checked, we are so much into corruption, in that when there is no corruption, we feel like there is a piece of us missing. Now, this has affected countries in the Caribbean too. Now, as I'm talking right now, the Prime Minister of Jamaica is under probe for corruption. Now, he has been accused of opening so many accounts, and which these accounts have been receiving large or huge amount of money. And actually, this is taxpayers' money if in case he's found guilty. Now, we are talking about black countries, and one reason, I do feel this way, one reason we still have corruption, one reason we still have the problems that we face today, it is because of our elections and electorate system. Now, our elections have always been faced with corruption and manipulations. Now, people might want someone else, but the system plus the US or the European Union want someone else, and who they'll put in power so that they can go on doing whatever they do. That's why it has been so hard for them to believe that Ibrahim Traore is the president of Burkina Faso, because he wasn't elected. He took over power because he saw whatever was going on in his own country. Now, this is the time, brothers and sisters, let's embrace ourselves. Jamaicans, brace yourselves. Caribbeans, brace yourself. Africans. Now, the last time I checked, in my own country, my president is a puppet, and he has always been advocating for the Western countries, the GMO. Now, Bill Gates has taken over most countries in Africa. Now, he is going on doing the GMO thing in and out, day in, day out. He pays the president, he pays our leaders, then he can go on do whatever he wants with our lives. He does all businesses, including electronics and all that. Why is he not so much satisfied that he wants our lives too? But we have leaders who have accepted that. The last time I checked, Africa is actually being run by either France, US, China, or Russia. Why don't we have our own independent systems? Neocolonialism has played a big role just after independence. Then the question is, why did our fathers fight so hard for independence? Why did they have to die? If these people still go on dying with the oppressors and all this is whatever Ibrahim Traore has been speaking about. He has been talking about the atrocities that actually face black people, the black nations. He once said that those black people in the diaspora should actually be reparated, because these people went through a lot to see these countries where they are. The industrial revolution that took place both in the US and in Europe, it was because of their hard working. They were so hard working in their industries, in their factories, in their farms. That's why we've seen the success economically, politically, and socially in these white countries. It is time that they should pay for the labor. It is not something that we are asking as a favor. No, black people deserve reparations. And I hope the person who is going to take over the mandate in the US is actually going to sign for black people to be reparated. Black people went through a lot. So many people died. So Black brothers, this is the time. Jamaicans, this is the time. I know our leadership have always failed us, but we as the people, we shall do whatever we gotta do to make our countries better. There is nothing that will help our countries apart from good leadership. Good leadership is that which is corruption free. Good leadership is that which doesn't favor a person because they come from where you come from, or a group of people because they belong to your family. Good leadership belongs to the people. It's serving the people without looking back where they come from. Which group do they belong to? Which color do they belong to? Good leadership is giving it all for your countrymen. So brothers and sisters, we actually responsible. Talking a lot, talking too much won't help us. Let make things work. Actions. Sometimes I do say to my countrymen in Kenya that streets, demonstration, strikes do help a lot. That's the only language some people in government do understand. Our countries are being taken for a ride. We've seen how much people are suffering, how many families, how women and children are going to suffer if we continue allow puppet leaders in our countries. This is the time. Do civic education to your brothers and sisters. Tell them it is not right until it's made right. Tell them if it's not today, if it's not now, there is no any other day. We're gonna make it. Let's rise above oppression. Let's fight. Let's fight and fight for our rights. Let's fight for whatever is good for our countries. We can't allow to see our continent Africa sink. We can't allow to see the Caribbean sink because of bad leadership and puppet leaders. We are going to speak truth to power. That's whatever Ibrahim Traore is advocating for, and that's whatever I'm advocating for. Truth to power. Talk until you are heard. If you're not heard, take to the streets, demonstrate until they see it, until they feel it. That's when you stop. We only stop when we get whatever is rightfully ours, when we get whatever we want. So brothers and sisters, never give up. The time is now, the time is today. There is no any other day we can make it right. Go on doing whatever is right, and in the context of all this, God, Allah, will bless us. One love from wherever you're watching me from. I hope you're having a good time. Thank you so much.